Filipina tennis star Alex Eala reached her new career best number 31 WTA ranking, jumping 16 spots after a quarterfinal finish in the Dubai duty-free tennis.
Alex Eala is shattering records, and this time she has attained her career best ranking of 31, rising 16 rankings in just one competition. And it is absurd. But before we go into any of that, let me tell you something. There are times in sports that transcend beyond simply the game. Moments when you are not merely watching an athlete perform. You are watching someone fight. Fight against opponents, fight against uncertainty. Fight against a system that does not want to see them succeed. And right now in women's tennis, that individual is Alex Eala. And what she is accomplishing is nothing short of extraordinary. Eala has made her statement once again in front of the WTA authorities, who are not ready to accept her into the flight of tennis. But Eala is doing marvels, and the Dubai Championship is a wonderful representation of her own potential. And looking at the way things are going, it is only a matter of time until the WTA would have to accept her as the genuine deal of tennis. At the Dubai Championship, Eala established another record by defeating Jasmine Paolini, who ranks at 7th in the WTA rankings. Paolini was her third opponent from the top 10 of the WTA that she has defeated. Along with defeating Paolini, she overcame Hailey Baptiste and SRA. All of these victories came in a comfortable manner until she succumbed against world number 4 Coco Gauff. But even that loss changes nothing about what Eala proved in Dubai. She belongs at that level. Everybody watching could see it, and the statistics now corroborate it. And here is what makes this much larger. Alex Eala has become the first female tennis player in history to have defeated world number 2 and numerous Grand Slam champions like Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek before ever cracking into the top 20 of the WTA rankings. This is an absolute feat for someone as young as Eala. She is confronting every challenge hidden, and in doing so she is proving herself against her worst critics within the WTA, who refuse to give her the respect she deserves. That is not hype. That is history.
According to the updated rankings on Monday, February 23rd, Eala defeated Hailey Baptiste, 2024 tournament champion Jasmine Paolini, and Sorana Cirstea in the WTA 1000 tournament.
According to the revised standings on Monday, February 23rd, Eala beat Hailey Baptiste, 2024 tournament champion Jasmine Paolini, and Sorana Cirstea in the WTA 1000 event. Eala revealed herself last year on the stage of the Miami Open. And once she started doing it, the entire WTA machinery came after her. When Eala was in the midst of her great run against Iga Swiatek, playing the best tennis of her life, there was an incident that cannot simply be brushed aside. Out of nowhere, an umpire raised an objection charging Eala of having prohibited objects on the court. Think about the timing of it. She is in the middle of one of the greatest shocks in recent WTA history. The audience is absolutely going berserk for her. The momentum is fully in her favor. And in that very moment, a controversy appears that had absolutely nothing to do with tennis, nothing to do with the quality of play, nothing to do with what was really occurring on the court. It felt purposeful. It seemed like a calculated effort to shatter her concentration, to drag her out of her zone, to upset the mental calmness of a young player who was outplaying one of the greatest names in the sport. The timing was too exquisite to overlook, and anyone who was watching that match felt it. You do not bring that type of issue at that specific time by mistake. You just do not. But Eala did not stop. She did not crack. She did not let that rattle her. She went straight back out there and she completed the job against EGAT. And in winning that match, she delivered a message that went well beyond tennis. She made it plain that she cannot be stopped by doing rigged things like this. But that success also made something else very evident to her. She is not just fighting against her opponent on the other side of the net. She is also facing an unreasonable scrutiny from authorities inside the WTA, who do not want a Filipino to make it this big from scratch. And it was not even the only incident. There was another time where an umpire made a line call that was visibly apparent erroneous. The ball was within the boundaries, definitely inside. Anyone watching could see it, but it was called out. When Eala tried to challenge that decision, instead of simply correcting the apparent error and giving her the point she had correctly earned, the umpire called for a replay of the whole point, a replay. She should have had that point. There is no dispute, no discussion. The ball was in. But instead of giving her what she earned, they forced her play it again. And this is what makes Eala so distinctive. She did not simply accept it. She came straight up to the chair umpire, calm but extremely stern, and she said, "I know what you're doing." The confidence in her voice, the determination in her gaze. She was not going to be intimidated. She was not going to let them push her about. She knew precisely what was occurring, and she called them out on it right there on the court. That moment tells you everything about who Alex Eala is as a competitor and as a person. And when this could no longer go on, the WTA placed her on small courts at the Australian Open to stop her followers, who were numbering in the thousands, from coming into the stadium to support her. Fans who had traveled, who had come up, who were there specifically to cheer Eala on. And the WTA replied by making sure the venue could not hold them. And when this happened, the greatest names in tennis took note. Novak Djokovic called the WTA out straight. According to Djokovic and many others who have been paying close attention, the WTA's handling of her fixture had a big influence in her elimination. And Djokovic was not subtle about it. He stated it loud, and he said it clearly, that it was their venue choice that worked against Eala. In Djokovic's own words, Alex Eala is the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, and she deserves all the respect in the world. But the WTA is not giving her that respect. They are not treating her fairly. And that lack of proper management led to her first-round exit at the Australian Open. When the greatest male player of all time is pointing his finger at an institution and saying something is wrong, you do not get to simply turn away. Alexa, that it's been a conversation, and which is reasonable. There's certain players coming from various nations, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big issue. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that nation, which is enormous country, and there's great interest. Jessica Pagula also made it absolutely clear that, in her opinion, Alex Eala is not simply a bright young player trying to establish her feet on the circuit. She is a rising star in the purest sense of the word. Someone who has already demonstrated time and time again that she belongs at the top level of this sport. But the WTA does not appear to be treating her that way. And Pagula is not going to be quiet about it. She brought up her own match against Eala at the Miami Open. She recalls walking into the contest and being genuinely surprised by what she witnessed. The vibe in that arena was tremendous. The audience was enormous, enthusiastic, boisterous, and completely committed in every single point. Pagula claimed it was crazy. She was not whining. She was marveling, because what she watched that day was a young talent who had already garnered a following that most established stars could only dream of. And yet all of a sudden the WTA is placing her on small courts. Everything points in one direction. The WTA does not like Eala. It's great. I played her when she sort of broke out last year in Miami, and, I'm from there, and the entire audience was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where did these folks come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a very solid player on tour. They all come out to support her, and so I think we saw it in Australia when it was kind of overloaded. They placed her on too tiny of a court. The image that emerges from all of this is unsettling. It is a picture of an institution that feels threatened by a young Filipino lady who is rising too quickly, garnering too much affection, and proving too many people wrong. The racist overtones of what is happening here are something people are openly discussing. Because when you look at the pattern, the umpire incidents, the court sizes, the scheduling, it is really hard to come up with another explanation. But here is the thing with Alex Eala. None of it has stopped her. In only 1 year, she has gone from rated 100th in the world to 31st. She has defeated the best players in the globe. She has shattered records that nobody else has broken. She has established a fan following that travels across the globe to see her play. And she has done all of this while overcoming obstacles that most players never have to deal with. The WTA may book her on small courts. The umpires may make their questionable calls. The detractors and the doubters may say anything they want, but the rankings do not lie. The findings do not lie. And with folks like Novak Djokovic sticking solidly in her corner, it is plain evident who is winning this war. Alex Eala is not just a tennis player. She is a movement. And you cannot halt a movement.